Here we are, b'siyata d'shmaya, on the journey together, coming back to our neshamas, coming back to our souls, because sometimes we get a little bit off the derech. And Elul is all about coming back on the derech. Anaisim b'yam darech, Hashem, you put into the sea a path. This month is all about carving out once again the path of Teshuva, coming home. And even though the world seems to have this sea, and the sea can be a rough place. When you're out at sea, it's rough. But the power of Elul is that you could carve out a path even in a sea, in an ocean, a place that seemingly there's no paths. But you can carve out a journey back home. And Melech pointed out, a beautiful shtickle, that it's quite fascinating that why the Arizal is pointing out to us, why is Elul connected to this path in the sea? Because if you're on a regular road, Rebbe Melech says, if you want to turn around on the freeway, how long is that going to take you on the Waze? If you take a turn off, you realize, oh, I missed my exit. How long is it going to take you to get back on the freeway, the other direction? That's time. That's not like a minute or two. You missed the exit on the freeway. Oh. When you're at sea, as soon as you realize you're going the wrong way, just shift the boat. You're already going the right way. When you're at sea, to go in the right direction, you just move it. So in Elul, the Teshuva can happen very quick. So be open to that you can make moves back in the right direction quickly. So we're holding in the Torah Ayin Gimel in Lekutei Moharan Tinyana, and we're doing Teshuva together. We said yesterday that somebody wants to do Teshuva. We want to come home, back to ourselves. You should be Rogil Ba'amiras Tehillim. We should say Tehillim. We should get into the words of King David. And Rogel is also an interesting word. Rogel seems to be that it should be so one with you. Like when you have a regilas and you're almost habituated to it, it becomes like your second nature. That Tehillim should become so second nature to you that you start to live Tehillim. You're Rogel Ba'amiras Tehillim. Because by saying Tehillim, it brings you to Teshuva. That's the technology. He's going to explain the technology, how it works. And then he says that there's Nun Sharei Teshuva. There's 50 gates you have to go through on this journey. And 49 of them, Yochel Kol Adam Likanes Behem Lahasigam. 49 of them, you couldn't go through them. But the 50th gate is the Teshuva of Hashem. Ba'atzmai. Kaviyachol. And the Mefarshei, Rebbe Nachman, are thinking about that word ba'atzmo. Why does it say this is the Teshuva of Hashem Himself? Just say this is the Teshuva of Hashem Himself. So you could get very Kabbalic in this. Atzmo is doing Teshuva? That seems... Why did Rebbe Nachman add be'atzmo? The Teshuva of Hashem be'atzmo. We don't talk about atzmius. So Hashem be'atzmo. Kaviyachol, don't worry. He adds kaviyachol, as if to say, kaviyachol. So it's Ayin Gimel, is the Torah. We'll always be learning the Torah. One of the Chevra have it beside Zach. I could show him.
Is it a bit like the Omer?
Yes, it is like the Omer. Rebbe Nachman's going to tie it into the Omer. Very good. You're going to tie it into the Omer towards the end of the Torah because that sequence should indicate something to you. 49 gates of Teshuva, and then God has His gate. That kind of sounds like the Omer, right? That we count 49 days, and then Hashem comes to us at Har Sinai. Zach will open it up for you. You can pass it to the Chet over there. So we see this sequence. You have to take 49 steps, and then there's one step that Hashem is doing. There's 49 steps that you're taking, and then Hashem takes a step. And what's the pasuk to that? K'moshe Kosuv, Shuvu elai v'ashuva aleichem. You come back to me, and I'll come back to you. So it looks like there's 49 gates that you go in this way, and in the 50th gate, Hashem comes this way. You know what that reminds me of? A chuppah. Because when the groom is standing under the chuppah, there's a custom that the groom does not wait for the kala to come into the chuppah. Like, I'm here by the chuppah, you come, He actually goes out of the chuppah, greets the kala, and then walks in to the chuppah with her. He doesn't run, a mile that way. He just comes out of the chuppah though. He comes to her. She's walking to him. That's a lot of gates. Now, by the way, we're the kala when it comes to Hashem. So we're the kala and we're getting ourselves ready for the chuppah. There's a lot of gates at Teshuva that we're doing. And of course, Michael, this would also fit in very nicely to the Omer. Because the Omer is the 49 days of getting ready for Shavuos. And Shavuos is a wedding canopy. So we count the 49 days, and then Hashem himself, Kaviyachal, says, I'm going to come out of the wedding canopy, greet you, and then bring you in. And then we'll live together. That's the Shar Hanun. That's the 50th gate that we're going through. 49 of them we do, and then Hashem himself, so to speak, comes back to us. And in some very deep way, you might suggest that there's 49 gates that we are going to return to our soul. But what does it mean that Hashem is doing tshuva? Hashem wants to come back, so to speak, to his soul, to us. He also wants to return, because if we're far, then Hashem feels far from us. Kaviyachal. So the 50th gate, we don't do that. That itself happens through our work, and then Hashem comes back to us. At Shavuos, that's the 50th gate. Now, we're now going to connect this to something else. These 49 gates. We mentioned yesterday that these 49 gates are connected to what? The 49 letters of all the Shvatim. Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehudi, Yisachar. If you add up all the letters, how many letters are in all the names of the tribes? 49. So each one of the letters of the tribes corresponds to another gate of tshuva. So essentially, through the 49 gates, moving through the tribes. We're moving through the sons of Jacob, which is our genetic code. We're basically moving back to where we come from, to really who we are. We're coming home to who we are. But Rebbe Nachman's going to say something special now that I want you to pay attention to. So he says, there's a period, it's 5 words in, it says, Ve'elu hamem tes shari tshuva, hein bechines, and then it starts the next line with a mem and a tes. Mem tes oisius sheyesh b'shmois shneim asar shivteka. That these are in the names of the 12 tribes of Israel. Ki kol shar v'shar, every gate, yesh loy ois. The mem tes oisius hashvatim, every one of the gates has another letter from the 49 letters of the Shvatim. Okay, so now I know that every one of the gates of going back to my soul is connected to one of the letters of the tribes. But what is that doing for me? So now the Rebbe says something very important. Hine hakol chafetzim liyiras shemecha. I almost feel like this is like a tefillah from Rebbe Nachman. You know, everybody just wants to come back to you, Hashem. Hakol chafetzin. Everybody wants to come home. But nevertheless, lav kol adam zoichel asos tshuva. Not everybody is always able to actually go through the gates. What he's about to say. Not everyone's always able to do tshuva. Ki yesh echad she'ein lo yasaris klal tshuva. Here's category number one. There's certain people sometimes that have no arousal at all. We mentioned that yesterday. The astar shebetoich hastara. Leave me alone. I'm not interested. I'm living somewhere, who knows where, some island somewhere outside of Cancun. I've got my thing, I've got this. Just let me do my thing. Don't talk to me about Shabbos, don't do this. Forget about it. Rahman al-Islam. Category number two, afilu mishi yesh lis'aris l'tshuva. Even if somebody has a yis'aris l'tshuva, he wants to do it. He's been awakened by something. Ein zoich lagia el ha'ois. He can't find the letter, the hashar and the gate. Shel tshuva hashayach lo. He can't find the gate and the letter that's his letter. So let's take that back. There's 49 letters corresponding to the 49 gates, which is the letters of the 12 tribes of Yisrael. And he, says Rebbe Nachman, can't find his, he wants to, but he can't find his letter. He can't find his entry point back, which sounds like we all have our own entry point within the 49 letters. So do we have to go through 49 gates, or we have to find our gate? Nam said it's to find the letter that's his letter. I thought we have to go through 49 gates. What's with me finding my letter? Oh, yeah.
It's like going through each gate, find a way to find our own letter and get Yeshiva. We have to go through all the different steps to find which one's right for us.
So you're saying I have to go through all the 49 gates, and then in that journey I'll find my gate?
Is that what he said?
So I was thinking something like that. I was thinking something like, there's 49 gates. 49 gates are global. We all have to go through the 49 gates. You need to, because we're all Bnei Yisrael. We all come and really have the code of all the DNA from all the Shvatim, and they summarize the entirety of Torah, of Bnei Yisrael, the children of Yisrael. And therefore, we have to go through all the letters. But there's one tribe that I'm from, right? By the way, we don't know what tribe we're from, generally. Maybe if you're a Levi, a Kohen, they say the Bnei Yisachar knew that he was from Yisachar. We don't really know which tribe we're from. Even in the times of the Beis HaMikdash, people had lost touch with which tribe, sadly. That's why, did you know that there was 12 gates to get into the Beis HaMikdash? And you had to go in through the gate of your shevet. But there was also a 13th gate. The 13th gate was anybody who didn't know which tribe they were from. It's called the Shar HaKoilel, is that you can go in. There's a place for everybody. Even if you've lost track along the way. Even if you got a bit, off from where your family came from. This is a time now where Bali Tshuva, people are doing Tshuva all over the world. Many people they don't know exactly where they came from. They know that they're a Yid, but they're finding their way home. Lost tribes. There's a lot happening right now. People are starting to find their way home. We have a certain yisoid that the prayer services that we have and the different nuschos, which means the different versions, Ashkenaz, Sfard, Sfaradi, Portuguese, everything, many, many different. Ari, there's many different nuschos. Even within Sfaradi, there's many variations, bells, that all of that is really tapping into that the 12 tribes had their own ways of serving Hashem. Each tribe had their own degel, each tribe had their own flavor, each tribe had their own animal that was like, had an energy that corresponded to them. Each tribe had many, many things that were special for them, and together, through this rich fabric of the differences of all of us, we were all together B'nai Yisrael. And that's l'chatchila. We're not into robots, everybody looking the same and doing the same. We're into everyone having their own flavor. If you go to a Sfaradi Shabbat experience, it's going to look very different than a Ashkenazi or Litvish, which will look different. It's the same Shabbat. It's all Shabbos. Shabbos Hayom L'Hashem. But this one's got this type of flavor. You know, my chunt is not like as hot as some Hamins. It doesn't have a hard-boiled egg in it. Those are just little things that are big things, that everyone has their own things and flavors, and even ways of singing that are all part and parcel of tapping into the soul root of where their family comes from, which is all B'nai Yisrael, is all the Jewish people. But within that, we celebrate our differences. And by the way, we celebrate differences in humanity, that we want people to be different and express differences and be able to unify within differences. That's a very high level of unity, is that you could be unified within your differences and you could celebrate your differences. And that's what the 12 tribes represent. But if we just said in the Beis HaMikdash, you had to go in through your gate, and if you didn't, you had the 13th gate. So what about if you don't know which tefillah am I supposed to daven, Ashkenaz, Sfarad? So they say that the Arizal tried to make a 13th gate. He made the 13th gate. He opened up the 13th gate because there would be people who would lose track exactly. Now, is my family from this area, we Ashkenaz? People come back a couple generations later. I have a picture of my great-grandfather. He looks pretty religious, you know, a beard and payas, but I don't know more. What should I daven? So the Arizal put together the 13th gate, the Shar HaKoilel, that all the tefillahs go through. So back to us, we're trying to find our letter in our tribe, but we don't know exactly where it is. So we said that we need to go through all the 49 gates, because that is corresponding to all of us. Now the 49 gates might be, we all need to put on tefillin, we all need to keep Shabbos, we all have to say Shema, Pamayim B'chol Yom. We all have to go through certain gates of returning and make brachas and light Hanukkah candles. There's certain gates that we all have to go through as being part of B'nai Yisrael. But then you're going to find your gate. Maybe that's the Reish and Ruvain, who knows, or the Yud of Levi, and you need to get to that gate. Now when you get to that gate is going to be essentially the reason why you were put in this world, very specifically to you. And that gate could be a very difficult gate. Because if the whole reason you're here is to pass something major, that might be a big test. So let's say, for example, you have a mission in this world to make brachas in very, very high level ways. Let's say that's part of your letter of Teshuva, is to really work on brachas. Everyone has to make brachas, but for you it's to take brachas to another level. We see also, the Gemara speaks about this when they speak to each other and they say, Avuch mai zar tefei, your father, what was he more careful in? Which mitzvah? So the Mefarshim say, what do you mean? These were Amoraim, they were careful in all the mitzvahs. So they say that the word Zahir is the same word as Zoyar. What mitzvah shined for him? What mitzvah illuminated for him more than the other mitzvahs? We all have things that kind of speak to us, things that we feel are very important to us. So let's say this person has a mission of making certain brachas with kavanah. And now he has a pomegranate in front of him. And he just eats it. So not only did he not go through the 49 gates of making brachas, but maybe that was like his gate. Is that maybe there was all sorts of stuff happening in that pomegranate, spiritual opportunities of making a bracha, and the shamas, and all sorts of nitzotzes, and he missed the gate. He thought it was a pomegranate and not a gate of tshuva. Thought it was only a pomegranate. It's a pomegranate, obviously. But he thought it was only a pomegranate and not a gate of tshuva. Maybe for another person, he has a mission in this world to be very careful not to steal at all, even in the slightest ways, and he was put back down into this world to connect to a certain perfection in his character traits. Nobody can steal, period. But he would have to go extra, the extra mile, even things that you would assume would be okay. Even there, the milk in the fridge was someone's name that I'm sure he'd be okay and I'll replace the milk. Even there, that I'm not going to do it. Maybe that's his gate, but he didn't realize it. He missed it. By the way, usually when you get to a super difficult challenge in your life, that's your gate. Where you're like, oh my goodness, this is really hard right now. I don't just mean like, yo, we're going to the club tonight. It's like, oh, I really want to go. Like, it's going to be lit. And you don't go. Those are big challenges. But I mean like a major thing. Like big life destiny things are oftentimes your gate. Should I go to this place, this school maybe? Should I choose something different? Where you feel, should I stay another year in Yeshiva and grow the destiny for my life and my kids for eternity? When you kind of touch things that you know make you feel like, oh my goodness, I'm schwitzing a little bit, like it's like real free will decisions, you're very likely like touching into your gate. So the second level, Rebbe Nachman is saying, there's a letter. And we all have our own thing. For some person, some people, they can't wake up in the morning. And if you can break that, other people just pop up. Like it's not even a problem. It could be that's associated with their gate. That's their thing that they have to work on. So pay attention when you find your ois. So some people don't even know. They're just like, I want to be better, but like, I don't know where to start. So the first level, leave me alone. The second level, I'd like to be, but I don't even know. I think these things are just pomegranates and, should I go to this school or this school? I didn't realize like this is literally my gate and my ois. And this has to do with my neshama going back to its shavit and the mission that I was put in this world to achieve. But I don't know that it's a gate. So he says, I don't know how to get to the gates. I think this also refers to people that are just, they feel something awakening inside of them. And I'm seeing this around the world. People have this awakening inside of them, but they just don't know how to make their way home. So they're looking for resources, like help me. They're looking like, Rabbi, help me find my way home. And then the third level is that you actually get to your gate. You realize, oh my goodness, you have this moment, like I think this is a major, pivotal life decision that's about to happen. And I really want to make the right decision. And it doesn't have to be so major. It could be something smaller, but you realize this is an important thing that I need to be deciding on. And you could feel there's this free will struggle happening inside. But you just feel like, I just can't. It feels closed. So those three types of people, Rebbe Nachman is saying, is a reason why we're not always able to do tshuva. We get there, but we just... Like, LeBron is the one to make the shot. Like, he's got to have the ball. 3 seconds left in the game. And then he just... Like, he's the one. Like, that's his game. Like, you were meant for this. Game 7, finals, you were designed for that moment. Everybody knows it. Like, that's the game. That's your mission. And he just airball. Just couldn't do it. But it was clear he was the one to do it. So that's the third level. You know exactly what you need to do, but it just didn't go. Seems to be closed. So what do we do? So Rebbe Nachman says, there's hope. This is Breslov. King David put into Sefer Tehillim all the technology that we'll need. Number one, if a person is completely sleeping, to wake up his soul to do tshuva. 2, to help you actually find your gate and identify that these are going to be major life things that have to do with the reason my soul was put in this world. And number 3, that you get to the moment, the ball's in your hand, and the buzzer's going to go, and that you actually make the shot. And the gate is open. King David is going to give you the technology to do that. So far, so good. So we're at the section now, it says, V'nimtza. V'al de'amirs Tehillim, by saying Tehillim, Afilu misha ein lo shum misaris l'tshuva, even somebody who has no feeling to come back, who misar l'asayis tshuva. The gam zoicha ali de tehillim la'agia el ashar. He also brings you to your gate. Ve'ha'ois ha'shayach lo, your letter. And then he adds, I love these 2 words, I underline this in my Lekutei Moharan, v'liftoach hashar, to open the gate. I love those words. Not only to get there, King David's going to give you the keys that you can go through to open the gate. Nimtza, what comes out? Shezoicha ali beit tehillim la'asayis tshuva, that through the Psalms of King David, we're going to do tshuva. Now, what is it and why is it that King David has this power? Why is he the one that has this power? Where did this come from? Everybody knows, and it's fascinating. The whole world knows King David is amazing. Thousands of years, the world is hanging on to King David. We have his words. Literally. Nimtza. V'zeh b'chinas ne'um. Now he's going to quote from Shmuel, when King David is pointing out him being anointed as king. It's a pretty big deal to be anointed by a prophet from God as the king of Yisrael. David Melech Yisrael Chai V'Kayim. That's interesting, by the way. You ever think about that? We say David Melech Yisrael Chai V'Kayim. Chai means what?
He's alive.
He's alive.
And standing.
Kayim means like continuing, forevering. Kayim. Now, usually something that continues for a long period of time gets a bit old, you know what I'm saying? Gets a bit, if it's like Kayim, it's like still around. So you're still around? Usually that guy's getting a bit old. You know what I'm saying? It's Kayim. It's been there a long time. Oh, yeah, that old beat up thing in the back. You know, 76, Chevy. Yeah, that old thing, it's pretty Kayim. So usually the thing which is Kayim is not so chai. Chai means fresh. It's not like a 2025, A8 Audi. That's like fresh. Not so Kayim, you know what I'm saying? It's not Kayim. It's fresh. But it's chai. Chai means it's like alive. It's pulsing, it's alive. Something which is chai is not usually Kayim. Something which is Kayim is not usually chai. But you know who King David is? King David is both Kayim. He's still here. He's very Kayim. and he's chai. He's alive as ever. That's the secret of King David. He's chai v'kayim. He's alive and he's here. And his energy is only getting more big. Chai, his chiyus also comes from his kiyum. The longer he's here, the more energy. He's just gaining in strength. And he's going to fully explode with strength when Mashiach comes, who's his reincarnation. So King David is alive and well, like we say. Chai v'kayim. So as he's being anointed, it says, Ne'um HaGever, Hukam Al, the words of the man who is established on high, meaning he was anointed the king of Israel, King David. These are the words of the man who is appointed on high. Now the word Al means like on high, but Al could also mean like something good, like a to'elis. It's the word to'elis, something good, like a benefit. So now read the same words. Ne'um hagever hukim al. The words of the man that hukam, that stands up something good, something big, something, a to'elis. By the way, just for something cute, my dear friend, Rebbe Nachman Fried, pointed out that Ne'um HaGever, he said that he heard it from somebody else. Ne'um HaGever is these are the words of the man. And what's King David really alluding to? Ne'um HaGever is the letters Gar, Uman. To Gar and Uman. Ne'um HaGever. Okay, I'll let you guys ruminate on that. So these are the words of the Gever, Hukam Al, who established on high, who established something big, something high. Darshu Rabbi Saint Zechron Levrocha, the Gemara in Moed Katan explains, Shehekim, what did he establish? Ula, this great benefit, Shel Teshuva. That's what he established. How did he do that? The end of the Pasuk, Une'im Zmiras Yisrael, by writing the Tehillim. He put all of Teshuva, he wove it in, he encoded every single thing that a human being would need. That's why the whole world loves King David. He wove it into Sefer Tehillim. He essentially went through every single human experience that could ever happen in the entire world. L'toiv u'lemeitav, for good and otherwise. He had all the challenges that would ever exist. He's like the source and the DNA of basically all difficulty that a person could go through and all celebration. He had the gamut of everything, and he put everything into the Tehillim. Everything. That's why when you read Tehillim, you have this feeling like, David gets me. Like, how does he know that that's what I'm going through? How does he feel that? Because he went through everything. He went through everything. And because he went through everything, that's why who are the best therapists? Like the real people that could help? Generally people that went through those things. If somebody was an addict in something and then he got out of it, he could help people in that same area because he went through that thing. And people feel like, you get me. You went through that. And I see where you've gotten to. Like, thank you for making me feel heard. And I know that you've been there. So King David went through everything. Everything. So all the things in my life that I'm going through, my struggles and my difficulties, I find in you hope. Because I see the way that you went into difficulties, into dark places, and then how you emerged out of it. You're guiding me for everything. That's why everybody says Tehillim, the whole world. People love Tehillim. There's a story that I was just reminded of that popped into my mind, that a Moshe Weinberger would say, that there was one time a contest in somewhere in England, like a poetry competition. And like the way that it works is that they would have a panel of judges and they'd be in some theater, and then people would get up and recite a certain poem. And for the finals of the entire nationwide competition, the poem that was chosen was the 23rd Psalm, Mizmor David, Hashem Roi, the Psalm of David. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not lack. And of course it's a work of famous poetry around the world. And so people got up and presented, and then finally this one young lad got up with absolute charisma and presented and had the entire audience up in like a roar of applause. And at one point, right at the end of the presentation, as everyone's sitting down, there was an alter yid, an old yid in the back with a long coat and a beard, and in a thick European accent, Polish accent, he said, "Would you mind also, judges, if I would also recite the 23rd Psalm?" And it's sort of, okay, okay, Rabbi, we'll, to humor him, please come up, yes, please come up, and, this is from your people, please come up and recite the 23rd Psalm. That's right. And he began, and at first everyone was kind of smirking and laughing a little bit. And then after 30 seconds, everybody was silent. And then after a minute, everyone was crying. And then the competition ended, and everyone was leaving, and of course the medal went to the young lad who recited it with great charisma, and he ran over to this Jew and he said, Rabbi, the prize belongs to you. And he said, I don't need prizes like this. He says, but I have to ask you, why when I recited the 23rd Psalm, so everybody was clapping and cheering, but when you did it, you brought everyone to a deep place and everybody was crying. So he said, there's one difference, is that you read the 23rd Psalm and you read about the shepherd. But I've met the shepherd. I speak to the shepherd. Hashem Roi, Lo Yachsar. We're close. We have a relationship. You speak about the shepherd. I speak with the shepherd. And that's the difference. So inside the Tehillim, you can meet the shepherd. Hashem Roi. Hashem, you're my shepherd. You'll guide me. King David is giving you a portal to meet the shepherd, because he met the shepherd. He spent his whole life with the shepherd. That was all he did. He's bringing us to a place where you can encounter everything, and that will bring us home. The shepherd guides, right? Once you get to the shepherd, you could be guided back home. That's the Teshuva that we're doing. That's the 49 levels of Teshuva that I'm doing. And then the shepherd comes out to me and greets me. Rebbe Nachman is now going to teach us, and we'll have to see this next time, that there was an incident that happened that was so profound and was so meaningful and was so challenging for David HaMelech, that this aroused in him all the powers of Teshuva in a very significant way. And this was, of course, the incident with Bathsheba, where Bathsheba was married And Shimi ben Gera was rebelling against King David, the husband, and he was going to go out to battle. And there's a lot of details about this that are very sensitive. And King David felt that something was not quite right about what happened, even though that technically it might have been fine because a divorce was given before he went out to battle. But still, for him, something was off. And the Torah even says that King David he probably even could have passed this. But something happened at that moment that King David would become the symbol of Teshuva for eternity. That he would show the world that no matter what happens to you and how you fall, that you can come back. And the whole Sefer Tehillim is put in through King David. That he's now going to be the symbol, like the Gemara says, Loi haya David roi la'osai ma'isa. This was not really roi for David HaMelech, fitting for him. Everything that happened. Lekutei lahayris Teshuva liyachid. But Hashem wanted to show through David HaMelech that every single human being around the world could come back home. And even if you've gone off and you've done things that are questionable, you could come back on. Back on the derech. Hanoisem bayam derech. You put a derech into the yam. Every single person could come back home. Everyone. Nimtza she'ikar hayros hatshuva ali de David HaMelech the ikar hatshuva shel David HaMelech who Sefer Tehillim. That was his tshuva. Sefer Tehillim is literally the encoded experience of David HaMelech, which was then the message in a bottle, if you will, for all eternity to do tshuva. He's the king of tshuva. He's even called the Bar Nafli in the Zohar, the Baal Tshuva. King David is called the Baal Tshuva. What do you mean? Wasn't he FFB? Yeah. Ishai was like the perfect tzaddik. He was very FFB. But he's the Baal Tshuva. Because he's teaching you that we're all in this together in tshuva. Tshuva is very deep. And David HaMelech says that I keep falling and falling. I'm the Bar Nafli. He fell so far that he would be able to help a person no matter how far they fell to come back up, which is very similar to Rebbe Nachman. Rebbe Nachman says, I go all the way down. I could come all the way down to the lowest place to help show you that Hashem is there also. I feel about Astara, Shabbataych Astara. Even in the darkness and the hiddenness of that. Bevada Gam Sham Nimtza Hashem Yisbor. Hashem certainly is there. So my friends, this is Elul. This is the time of Bina, of Teshuva, of the 50 gates, of David HaMelech. We're going to see more next time what happened with Bathsheba, how this is going to guide us in Teshuva. We're also going to show how when we went down to Mitzrayim, when we went down to Egypt, that was essentially the forging of Klal Yisrael. Going down to Egypt, coming down, we had to experience something to come out and to come home. And that began the beginning of the journey, the 49 days and the 50th day of Shavuos, which must be that there's something deeply connected to Teshuva with Torah. Because if the whole purpose was to get to Har Sinai, then Torah has to be the thing. If you haven't noticed, in the Brach and Shmon Esrei of Teshuva, what's the first thing we ask for? Hashivenu Hashem l'soirasecha. Return us to your Torah. That's the bracha of Teshuva. I want to come home. How do I do that? To Torah. The Torah is the secret. Yeah.
Was all of what did David HaMelech, did he write Tehillim straight? Like he sat down and wrote it, or
through different experiences? What happened with Bathsheba was like that forged him as the one that's going to now be the messenger of Teshuva for all eternity.
Is that his gate? His specific gate?
Is that his specific gate? Meaning which one?
The incident with Sheva was the gate.
Yes, that was his gate. Oh, thank you for clarifying that, Gidon. Yeah, that was his gate. That was his gate. And even if you fail on that gate, it looks like he failed. Even if you fail on that gate, if you learn from it, then you succeeded and you passed the gate. That's all. Well, that's tshuva. That's the whole thing. Tshuva is here to teach us and make us grow. Tshuva is a very deep thing. We said tshuva comes from before the world was created. We're going to see the Gemara. We'll have to see it. Remind me next time. The Gemara Pesachim on the Daled. Tshuva is from before the world was created. Tshuva is a technology that. Think about this for a second. You don't think God knew that we would stumble? If tshuva was created before the world, He knew. God understands that He gave us a Yetzer Hara.
Does that mean that the world was created out of tshuva?
The world was created from the energies. The world was created from Torah. And tshuva exists in a state before the creation of the world as we know it. So it pulls you back to something pre-finite creation, if you will. Tshuva is taking us to a place very deep. There's one question that I was asked yesterday, which is, we know all the letters, all the sha'arim, the 49 gates have letters. What's the letter of the 50th gate? Yeah? The Yud? Why is that?
Yud makes up every letter.
It's like the beginning of every letter.
And Aleph is like one.
The one, you're getting back to the one. Very good. I have my thoughts on this. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I'll tell you the following. I'll leave this as a riddle for you guys to think about over the next week. The Torah says, and it's pointed out in Chazal, that Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, Baruch Shem Kavod Malchusay Li'olam Va'ed, is 49 letters. Those are also the 49 gates. Yichud Ilah, Yichud Tata. But in the times of Mashiach, there's going to be an added letter to Shema. Maybe you could suggest, I'm not going to tell you the letter, I want you guys to do some research. Maybe you could suggest that hidden letter is going to be the letter of the 50th, because that's going to be the connecting point that something's about to change from 49 to the era of Mashiach when Hashem comes back to us. Shuva Aleichem, and I'm going to come back to you. Maybe that's the letter of the 50th gate that's going to be revealed. Whatever that letter is, that's going to be added to Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus Li'olam Va'ed. You should be zeichek to be mis'orer to tshuva, to want to do tshuva, to find our letter and our gate, and then to open the gate when we get there. And b'siyata d'shmayim, that all of us will do tshuva shleima, b'toich ava, tshuva me'ava, tshuva out of love, which turns all the averas into mitzvahs. You have to do tshuva though. Turns it into mitzvahs. We should see tshuva for all of humanity, and much blessing and goodness to fill the world. Mashiach Tzidkeinu b'mherav yameinu amen.
Amen.
Oyein shum yeyo, shein shum yeyo, shein shum yeyo, shvava olam kla, Rabbeinu shoah, ekol gada, oyein shum yeyo, shein shum yeyo, shvava olam kla, mitzvah gedai la liyod b'simcha, liyod b'simcha, b'simcha tavamim. Mitzvah gedai la liyod b'simcha, liyod b'simcha, b'simcha tov. The words are easy. Yam didi dam didi dam didi la 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 ya la 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 didi dam la la yam didi dam didi dam didi la 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 ya la 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 didi la la la. Mitzvah gedai la liyod b'simcha, liyod b'simcha, b'simcha tov. Simcha b'simcha tamid. Shachris. Shkaya. A wonderful day,